Okay, so I'm gonna update this video. And by update this video, I mean start this video because it is February 13th and I have not filmed a single clip for this video. I've been reading a little, but video. So February 1st, I started the first book for this video and I was in a fantasy mood because I had just finished Onyx Storm the night before. So I decided to start The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in the Mistborn series. So the first book is called The Final Empire. And this is, it's kind of hard to explain this like world, but it follows this character named Ven. And she's like grown up on the street and she's like done what she needed to do to like get by. And then this man, what's his name? Kelsier. He takes her under his wing and trains her because they are both Mistborns. And basically in this world, people can control metals in their body and it gives them like abilities basically. And Mistborns are able to control all of the metals versus other people can only control one metal. It's like a whole thing. And so basically there's this person in charge, the Lord Ruler, and they're trying to overthrow him because it's like not a good kingdom with him ruling it. So like that's the first book, and this picks up pretty much where that one left off. It's like, it's been a few months, like there's like a year time jump maybe, but it's kind of just them, what life is like now after the events of the first book and how they're moving forward and trying to improve their kingdom. And I have not read The Final Empire since 2022. So it's almost been 3 years because I read it over the summer that year. And I did read like a summary of the first book to like refresh my memory about everything that happened. And I like basically remembered all of it, but I was still kind of concerned about jumping into this book and like not remembering everything. But honestly, it's okay. And yeah, I don't remember the exact backstory of every character, but like I'm able to follow along and I'm enjoying the story. But I hate reading mass markets. It's literally driving me insane reading this book because it's like over 700 pages. It is, the epilogue ends on 785 and then there's a couple of pages in the back. So yeah, so the last page, because there's like stuff in the back, is 792. So this book, this binding is about 800 pages, and holding this open is driving me insane. So I put it down. Not storyline, literally just physically the book is driving me crazy. So I stopped reading it on page 102 because 100 pages in and it's still just so annoying because not only are you like trying to like hold it open, but it's like you gotta like pop it open to even read it because it's so freaking tiny. And I'm not a fan. So I am like, I don't want to buy another copy. So like, I'm not going to buy it on my Kindle. The wait on Libby is too long. I even contemplated getting like Kindle Unlimited, but it's not on there. I was going to go to the library and check out a physical copy, but my boyfriend obviously has read the series. That's why he wants me to read it, or that's why he picked this book for me to read. And he owns the first one in the physical, like the bigger paperback copy, but not the rest of them. And he wants to own them since he read the series and liked it. So he said he would buy himself the copy of the second one for me to, and he would let me read it. But we haven't had a chance to go to the bookstore yet. So I put this one aside until we can get the better copy for me to read. And I started a different book on the list, which is Artemis by Andy Weir. This one I've been reading and I'm about halfway through it. I'm on 188. So this is a sci-fi book, but it's very different than Andy Weir's other two sci-fi books. And from reading those two books, like I think he's one of my favorite authors, actually. Like I like really love his writing. And he still has the same kind of like humor as his other two books in this one, but it is like a little different because the character is pretty different than his two main characters of the other books, The Martian and Project Hail Mary. But both of those books were centered around like some kind of scientist. They are both like, you know, in space conducting experiments or trying to survive in space and like that kind of thing. In this book, the main character's name is Jasmine, and she goes by Jazz. And Artemis is a colony on the moon. So people of Earth built a colony on the moon, and people live there. And it's quite large. It's all inside, obviously, because these people still can't breathe on the moon because there's no air, there's no oxygen. But it's like a colony that has like streets and different layers, like different levels, and have like apartments and businesses and factories. Like it is quite the big compound, colony, whatever you want to call it. So Artemis is a city on the moon, and Jazz has basically grown up there. When she was 6 years old, her dad moved there with her. So she's grown up on Artemis since she was 6, and now she's 26, so 20 years. And she is kind of poor, and she's, you know, trying to make money. I don't remember if we know at this point why she wants money other than just to have a better life. Like, I don't know if there's a specific goal in mind, and we just don't know it yet. But she works as like a delivery person basically, and so she does like a lot of under the table deals to make extra money on the side. You know, like she smuggles stuff. And like literally I couldn't do it. I'm claustrophobic, by the way. So her apartment is nicknamed the Coffin. Like there's a lot of apartments that are nicknamed the Coffin, and it's a door that literally opens up and it's just a bed with a shelf, and that is it. Like you can only sit up in your apartment, that's it. You can't stand. There's like only the shelf storage. You have to go down the hallway to use the bathroom and the shower. There's a lot of world building in this because it's a colony on the moon, and there's like things work really differently, but at the same time, it's a lot like our own world. Like it's really hard to explain. It's not hard to grasp though. Like she's just, it'll just like throw in like reminders that like she's on the moon. She'll be like, oh, I jumped over this thing. And you know, with moon's gravity, that means I jumped 3 meters in the air. It'll just be like thrown in there, and literally worded like that, by the way, because the way he writes, it's like that. It's very like casual, laid back. You're literally in her stream of consciousness. So she talks like that. And it's really funny. And that's one thing I like about his writing, is the characters are very funny. She is very smart. Like her dad is a welder, I think. So she like kind of grew up and she knows a lot of sciencey things. But she herself is not a scientist. So the plot of this actually, like it's set on a city. She needs money. There's basically this opportunity comes her way that is a crime. And basically it's like a heist type thing. She's gonna make a lot of money and stuff happens, and it's kind of like a thriller, which I wasn't expecting. I started reading this without knowing what it's about, I think. So it's like a thriller set on the moon, basically, with some like sciencey mumbo jumbo thrown in there because it's Andy Weir. So it's a really interesting combination that is very different from his other 2 books, but like I can still see his hand in it. Like I can still tell it's him because of the writing. It's just a very different plot because it's like a sci-fi thriller, which I've never read before. So I am interested in it, and it's definitely starting to pick up at the point I am at now. So I'm like very invested to see where it goes, because I wasn't sure how it was gonna go when I found out it was a sci-fi thriller. But I am enjoying it so far. I do predict that this one will be my least favorite of his books. I rated The Martian, well, I rated both The Martian and Project Hail Mary 5 stars, but I read The Martian first and I liked Project Hail Mary more. So like if The Martian's 5 stars and Project Hail Mary's is 6 stars. This one I'm predicting will be in the 4-star range, I think. But yeah, I am enjoying it. I'm also enjoying the shape of this book better. Yeah, so that is my book update. I'm not doing too great on reading this month. I've just been having like a lot of like health issues going on, and I've just been like really tired and just haven't gotten much reading done. But hopefully, I mean, I will definitely finish this book. I'm hopefully gonna circle back to this book and finish it. And then I just don't know if I'll get to a 3rd one, even though I really want to. I don't know. It just depends on how the rest of the month goes. Because it is February, so it is a short month, so it's almost over. I don't know, but that is my update. I'm sorry, I suck at updating this video so far. I'm also having to hide out in my room because my boyfriend is home and I don't want him to hear what I'm saying because he does not know what I think about these books. I am keeping it a secret until he can guess what I think. And so normally I would do all of my reading and updating on the couch, but I had to come in here and shut my door so he couldn't hear me because shh, it's a secret. But now that I'm done updating, I will go back to reading on the couch. So I just finished reading Artemis, but I will give an update at a later point since my boyfriend's sitting right across from me and he can't hear my thoughts.
Hello.
But it's done. There is like a little like economics essay in the back that he wrote about like his thought process for how the city worked. So I still need to finish reading that, but I don't feel like doing that right now. And I'm gonna go read Goodreads reviews now. Okay, I'm gonna update the video and I'm sitting on the floor of my room because Siri is in the chair and I don't want to move her. So, I'm gonna put the camera up right. I'm gonna put the camera up in the chair with her and sit on my floor. So it's the next morning and I still haven't finished the economic essay in the back of this. Like I'm interested in reading it. Now Siri's licking herself and is shaking the camera. Siri, please just go back to sleep. Okay, the camera is now propped on top of the One Piece box set. Trying this again. So I still have not finished the economic essay in the back of this. I think it's really cool that he wrote that in there. It shows that he really did put a lot of thought into the book. That's something I really like about Andy Weir's writing is there's so much science in it. And I don't really know anything about science, so it could all be fake, but it sounds real to me. But I think like he really does put a lot of research and effort into his books to make them scientifically real to a certain extent. Obviously, science is a bit more advanced in his books. But in the back of this book, I read, there's a Q&A with the author that I read. So he talked about his like process, and there's also the economic essay, which I'm part of the way through. So one of the things I really appreciate about his writing is how much effort he puts into the research. He wants to make it very fleshed out, very well-rounded, very realistic, and I like that. I have mixed feelings about this book, and I'm not quite sure what I think about it. It is very, very different than his other two books, The Martian and Project Hail Mary. This one was published in between them, so a lot of the questions to him in the back of this book were comparing it to The Martian. And it is very, very different from The Martian, and then I'm guessing he took feedback from people's reviews, and so Project Hail Mary was more like The Martian. I don't think this was a bad book, but it definitely was very different. And it was definitely an odd combination. I know the genre of sci-fi thriller does exist, and I've just never read it before. But it was a very odd combination for his writing because his writing is so, like his characters he writes have a lot of humor. And there's a lot of humor in his stories despite having like serious topics. And then there's so much science in it that having that in a thriller was like a little weird to juggle, I think. I think it was just a weird combination for me, the thriller and sci-fi aspects of this book, just like jumping back and forth. Like, I don't know. And like I said, I like the way that he like had the story set in this city very different from our world, and he would like remind you about it and like explain how different stuff worked in it in the middle of a scene. I feel like that part was seamless with the way the humor is done. I don't know if I can find an example. It was like there was a good one near the end. Here's one. Okay. I got up to speed and rolled across the terrain. Whenever I hit a bump, I bounced into the air.
parenthesis, well, not heir, but you know what I mean. So it's like whenever something's being described, it'll like have a follow-up sentence. It's like, well, it's a little different. And I feel like that was a good seamless way of reminding you that this city they're in is different, but not like taking away from the scene because it's written like that. Like it's written like she's narrating her life, kind of like the whole thing is filled with humor and stuff like that. So that part fit. I feel like I'm not describing my thoughts well at all. I found the science hard to follow in this book. A lot of it was like revolving around welding, and I just couldn't follow it. I feel like I could follow the science in The Martian and Project Hail Mary fairly well to be someone who's not a STEM girly, but this one was just kind of weird. I don't think it took away from like understanding the plot and what was happening. I just kind of was like bored reading the explanations of stuff, and I guess I just don't really see how like a heist type story fits in with a scientific type story. So it was like a heist, but then there was like a lot of science involved for the heist, and like sometimes that can work, but there was like too much science for this heist where like it was just kind of weird. So yeah, this was definitely my least favorite Andy Weir book. I think I'm settling on 4 stars for it because like I did still enjoy the humor. I did enjoy the story. I enjoyed the character. It kept me entertained. It just wasn't my favorite. And I'm kind of glad to be done with it at this point, but I still will read everything he writes. Even if it's another book of this genre, I would still read it because I really like his writing. And yeah, I don't know if any of that made sense. It probably didn't, but I think that's what I thought. So that's what we're going with. But yeah, so finished that last night. Today we're about to run some errands and we're going to go by a bookstore and buy the bigger copy of Well of Ascension so I can get back to reading that tonight. When I was halfway through the book was February 13th. It is now February 16th, I think. Yeah, today's the 16th. So I did read the second half of the book fairly quickly. So hopefully I can get through Well of Ascension and then read another book before the month ends. Last year I did like stop this video by the point of our anniversary, which is February 24th. This year I'm going to continue it through the end of February because I need that extra time to read. Okay, so it's a few hours later and we did go to the store. So this is what I was reading. You know, trying to... Okay. This is the edition we got. Oh, it's so floppy. Look at the size difference. This is going to be so much better. But now I got to figure out where I'm at. Because I didn't even stop at a chapter break. I stopped at like a break like that. So I'm on chapter 10. Okay, I found where I'm at. So this is how far I am in this version, which looks very, very small. How many pages is this version? It's 598 pages. Versus this one is 785. So that one we'll be putting down. And we're gonna read this one. I did totally lose my spot already though. Yeah, found it again. This vlog is literally all over the place and I am so sorry.
So I have an update. It is February 23rd, less than a week before the month ends, and also the day before our anniversary, which is the whole reason we're doing this thing. Anyway, what was the last thing I updated? I have the bigger copy of The Well of Ascension now. Very big, very floppy. I think I did update that. I still don't want to read it. I think I'm feeling a little slumped and burnt out from the fantasy genre. And a big book just feels very overwhelming. So I got to page 136 of the big copy. I'm not sure what that is of the small copy. And I stopped and I started The Golden Compass. And I read like 50 pages of this, 52 pages of this. And I just don't want to hold a physical book. So I looked on Libby, and this is available from Libby to read on my Kindle. So I have been reading it on my Kindle, and I don't have my Kindle with me right this second. It is downstairs, and I am not going up and down the stairs again. I'm 28% through this book. So I don't quite know how to describe it. I'm a little confused because I feel like the world building is very just not descriptive. I feel like they're not really world building. They really just threw us into the book, and I'm kind of confused. So it follows this character named Lyra, and she's a child. I could not tell you her age because she runs around and plays with other kids. So I'm thinking she's like 8 to 12 based off everything I know about her so far. And then I don't know what time period this is set in. I cannot tell. It is not set in our world, but like it has stuff. I mean, like it's, you know how fantasy isn't like in our world, but like they're humans. Anyway, in this book, in this world, people have demons that are their companion. They take the shape of an animal. And when you're a child, your demon shifts into whatever animal they want. But then once you're an adult, your demon is like picks a form and they stay in that one. I have not figured out who has these demons. I don't think everyone has one. But Lyra has one, and its name is Pantalaimon. Something like that. Pan for short. Yeah. So she is of nobility. Her uncle is a lord. Her parents are dead, of course. She's an orphan. And she's living at this school. I'm thinking it's in a castle. It's called the Jordan College because her uncle's traveling. And then there's these gobblers, which are this group people, like whatever. Gobblers are taking children. Does this sound like a fever dream? Because it kind of feels like a fever dream, me describing it. These gobblers are kidnapping children. And so Lyra's friend, Roger, gets kidnapped by the gobblers. And so she is traveling to find him. So that's what I know about this book from what I've read and the back of the book. And I am just kind of confused because there is world building, but it doesn't explain anything. And that's not to say I don't like it, because I'm interested. I just couldn't tell you what's happening besides that. But yeah, this is what my like friend's like favorite series from when she was like a kid. So she gave this to me for my birthday last year, and she wrote in it. And I'm reading it on my Kindle because I don't know what's wrong with me. I just don't feel like holding a book. I thought it was because this one was huge, but like I don't want to hold this one either. And this one's smaller, and I still don't want to hold it. And I'm running out of time because the month is over Friday and it is Sunday. And I have read 1 and not even a half books. So today is Sunday, and I actually had to go into work at my office job. Long story. This morning I decided to try The Well of Ascension as an audiobook because my boyfriend listened to it. So I downloaded Audible and logged into his account and started listening to this morning. And then I was at work for 3.5 hours. So I read a good chunk. I started out on chapter 16. which was here. And then I'm like halfway through chapter 25 right now. I think I read about this much as an audiobook today. I don't quite know where I am. It's also really throwing me off with it being fantasy because I've read it and now I'm listening to it and the names are just really throwing me off because I'll hear them say a name and I'm like, huh? Oh, it must be this person? Because like hearing it and reading it, two different things. I'm enjoying it as an audiobook, I think. I typically don't listen to fantasy as audiobooks because I feel like I have a hard time following it. But I don't know, I'm doing okay following it. I was even able to speed it up some. I'm listening to it on 1.7 because that's my preferred listening speed. And yeah, I did have to like go back a couple times, like a minute or two to re-listen to parts. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good listening to it as an audiobook. I'm not quite halfway now, but I do think I liked the first book better, at least so far. This one's feeling very political, because of what happened at the end of the first one. Like the kingdom is just very different and there's a lot of different, a bit of a Game of Thrones situation, as in there are different kings all saying they're the king kind of situation. So it's just kind of political and I don't really like political stories. And I know Brandon Sanderson does not do like big romance plots. These are not romantasy books. These are fantasy books that have like a B plot of romance. But I get like little crumbs and like I want more. But yeah, that's my update. Listening to the audiobook, the whole audiobook is, I don't know how to use Audible. It was 20 something hours. I don't remember what it was. Where I'm at right now, I have 10 hours and 36 minutes left. This morning I started at 15 hours something. So while I was at work, I also listened to it while I was in the car. Listening at 1.7 speed, I read roughly 5 hours worth. Yeah. And yeah, so 10 and a half hours left. I should be able to finish that this week while I'm at work. And I should be able to finish this while I'm at work too. So I think I might be able to end the month with 3 of the 4 books read for the video. And that's just the very best I can do. I don't know what is wrong with me. I am just really struggling right now with my health and it's really affecting my reading. And that is my update. I will try to get more B-roll clips because I feel like I've gotten very few B-roll clips and every talking clip is just me jumping from book to book. But that's just how it's going right now. And I'm not reading the rest of the night, probably, because we actually decided to hand make our anniversary presents. It was my idea because we're both crafty. And our anniversary is tomorrow. We celebrated last night. We like had like a shopping day and went to dinner. But neither one of us were done with our presents. So we decided to exchange presents on our actual anniversary, which is tomorrow, Monday. And we're both working on finishing them today. So he's in his room right now. I know he's using an airbrush for one of mine. That's about all I know. And I'm sewing for his. 2 weeks ago, I made him curtains for his room he plays Dungeons and Dragons in with his friends. They're map fabric. And then right now I'm making him a set of coasters for that room for when we have people over. I'm making a set of 12 map printed coasters. So that's what I'm doing. And you know, I might film a clip sewing because I will be listening to an audiobook. So I might do that. So you might see me sewing. Okay, that's the update. Sypha, can you not? The cats are feeling playful right now. But yeah, it's Tuesday night now. So it's February 25th. I am sat down to read. I'm trying to remember the last thing I talked about. Or, like, I know what I talked about, but I don't remember. I'll just give you an update of where I'm at in the books. Okay, so for Well of Ascension in the audiobook, I have 4 hours and 57 minutes left. So that's not bad, since it's a kind of longer book. I'm on chapter 44. Oh my god, my cats. I'm on chapter 44 of 59, and there's an epilogue. That's where I'm at in that. I'm not really much farther in Golden Compass. I'm 36% of the way through that now. But I have my Kindle set up, my little Kindle stand that I got for Christmas, and I'm ready to do some reading tonight. I don't have anything else going on tonight. So, yeah, I should be able to get some reading done. Okay, so I'm still trying to figure out the world building in this book. So before I thought that not everyone had a demon, because it was like some people would be described as like what creature their demon took on, and then other people there was no description. So I was like, not everyone has one. But now, like, I don't know who this dude is, but he's like, that young woman had no demon. It was as if he'd said she had no head. The very thought was repugnant. The men shuddered, their demons bristled or shook themselves or cawed harshly, and the men soothed them. So, everyone has one, evidently? I'm still so confused about the world building.
So, it is March 9th, and I have not updated this video in almost 2 weeks. And that's because I got the flu. I did actually finish The Well of Ascension and High Cooper, The Golden Compass, before February ended. But I just haven't had the energy to update this video. Also, I've sounded very sick, and in fact, I still sound sick. I can hear it in my voice, but it was like way worse a few days ago. So basically, what happened was Thursday before February ended, so I guess February 27th, I did finish The Well of Ascension at work because I was listening to it as an audiobook. And that night, when I was going to bed, I wasn't feeling well, and I was like, think I'm getting sick. Because one of my coworkers that sits like does down for me had been very sick, coming to work anyway. So I get up Friday morning and I'm like, okay, I'm definitely sick. It's Friday, I'm staying home and resting, and that'll give me time to read, right? So I finished The Golden Compass that day, sick on the couch with a fever. So the fact that the book felt like a fever dream, I literally had a fever while trying to finish the book. That did not help that feeling. I ended up being very, very sick. I actually had the flu. I haven't had the flu in 15 years. Of course, I've been sick. Like, I've had, like, colds. I've had COVID twice. But I've just never had the flu. And I was so miserable. And having the flu on top of my chronic illness was, like, really, really hard on my body. And it is now Sunday, the 9th. So I got the flu freaking 9 days ago. And still not feeling great. I'm still exhausted and phlegmy and weak, but here we are. I am finally updating the video. So I did in fact read 3 of the 4 books in February. It's just March now when I'm trying to finish the video and get it uploaded. So like February did not go as planned, like at all, but here we are at the end of February. The Well of Ascension, so much happened at the end. I felt lost and confused, but like I read a summary and like I didn't miss anything. So I think it was just a lot happening and it was like overwhelming to get all that information in. From what I remember, I do think I liked the first one better. Like I said, the second one was very political, and I don't know, there's definitely parts I liked and had me like gasping or whatever. Like I was surprised, shocked, whatever, especially like the ending. I am gonna read the 3rd book
because I really want to know what's going to happen. I don't know when I'm going to read it. I think I am going to audiobook the third one, since that worked out pretty well for the second one. I don't know about a rating because I don't typically rate audiobooks. Probably would fall in the 4-star range. I don't remember what I rated the first one. I feel like the first one was 4 or 4.5 star. That was so long ago. So that's that book. And then The Golden Compass was seriously just a fever dream. That book is so weird. And like, not in a bad way. Also, I was right. Lyra is 11, so I guessed her age range correctly. That book, like I said, was a fever dream while having a fever. It was literally wild. Once again, I read a summary of the book, and I got all the plot points, but there were definitely things that went over my head. Like, I did not grasp the fact that the demons that people have are their souls. Like, it's their soul outside of their body in their demon, and that's why they're so connected, and like that's why they can't be separated, and that's why you don't hear of people without one. It's because it's their soul. I did not pick that up while reading the book. But like all the plot points, like I understood. I just feel like it was like really, really weird and hard to follow, and I am not really sure how a young person would read it, but maybe that would help because, like, you know, when you're younger, your creativity is like stronger. I don't know. It was also just like all over the place, and I looked it up on Goodreads, and the genres are marked as children, middle grade, and young adult. Like, all three are marked as genres. It is very odd, and I did some reading about it, and evidently, so like the main characters are children, but he didn't write it with any audience in mind. So I guess that makes sense because some of it is kind of like childlike, then some of it is like kind of gruesome and grotesque, with like what they're doing to the children. Like the gobblers like take children and they are doing things to them. That sounded bad. Not like rape, like experiments, like scientific experiments. Anyway, so that was weird, and I was reading reviews, and they really helped me, like, understand, like, my thoughts, I feel like, because a lot of the reviews were like, I read this as an adult, and I just don't connect to it the way that a lot of people who read it as a child do, and I like, that's how I feel, I think maybe if I read it when I was younger, I would feel differently. I feel like I would have been just as lost, but maybe not, like, maybe being a child would have helped be part of the world and like understand it and like be part of the flow of creativity. I don't know. But since I read it as an adult, I wasn't like the biggest fan of it. I don't think it's a bad book. I just think it's not for me. And it was just really odd. I am interested in watching the adaptation. I think there's a movie and a TV show. The TV show is newer. I think the movie was from 2007 and the TV show started in 2019. I don't think I will read any more of the books, but maybe if I watch it and then end up liking it, maybe I'll continue. Also, I read the like author's note or whatever at the beginning of the book, and it's a trilogy and each book takes place on like a different plane of reality. Reading that before ever going into the book should have tipped me off, but it would be really freaking weird. Yeah, rating, I have no clue at all. Like, I don't think it's bad. I just really don't think it was for me. And so I kind of want to sit at like 3.5, because I was just confused. And I just feel like the world building wasn't explained well enough. I was just so confused. And yeah, so that's that book. And that is the end of this vlog. This was the messiest and most chaotic vlog I think I've ever done, because I was literally all over the place with these books. Chaotic. So I'm sorry, but I'm still gonna post this video. And yeah, I'm sorry I'm sick. We're about to film the video where my boyfriend guesses my ratings and thoughts for the books, and I don't know what he's gonna guess, so you'll have to stay tuned for that video to see him guess my ratings and then see his reactions when I tell him what I actually thought. So thank you for sticking out this video. It was weird and yeah, I'm a mess, but thank you for watching it if you did, and stay tuned for that other video. And if you haven't, you should watch the video of my boyfriend picking my TBR. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.